For this exercise, we're actually going to start by creating our signature. And so in Photoshop, we're going to do a new file, and we're just going to name it signature. You don't need a period number or anything before that. This is something you may want to use in the future, and it's nice to have on hand. Make the width of it 700 pixels, make the height of it 250 pixels, and the resolution 300 pixels. Make sure that you choose pixels before you start typing in your numbers, otherwise you have to do it another time. Okay, so you have a nice little rectangle there. It has a white background, and we're going to go ahead and create a new layer, and this new layer is what we're going to put our signature on. Now, before you get started making your signature, make sure that black is your foreground color, and choose the brush tool. Now, because we have recently used the brush tool, it saves all those settings in there, so you're going to have to come into the brush panel and uncheck all of these options, and then go up to the brush tip shape at the very top and change the size of it to 3 pixels, the hardness to 100%, and the spacing to 1%. That way it has a nice solid line there at the bottom. Okay, now this is going to work best if you have your pen and your tablet, your graphics pen and tablet, and it may take you a couple of tries to get your signature the way you want. That's okay. You're just going to write your name in cursive, and you can, if you have an I, I'm going to make a little heart over my I, and then a T, okay, and there I have my name. If you need more time to put your name down, just press pause and go ahead and take care of that. All right, now that you have your name written, we are actually going to do a little bit of color adjustment to this. So we want to Command L, and that opens our levels. Okay, and remember that with levels we have our dark spots, our light spots, and our midtones. We want to move the dark towards the middle to about 65 and move the white to the left till it's about 165. And right there. And what that's going to do is it's going to ensure that we have pure black and white in this photograph, and it will help get rid of any stray pen markings that you may have. Once you have that, go ahead and click OK. Next thing we're going to do is we are going to go to the Select menu and go to Color Range and choose Highlights. Okay? And what that's going to do is it's actually going to make a selection for us. You see how our thing is selected. Okay? Now we're going to go to Select Inverse, and it's going to select just the black in our signature. Now we're going to create another new layer. Okay, so we have our third layer here now, background in layer 1 and 2. On layer 2, we are going to fill this selection with white. So I'm going to go to Edit, Fill, and here from this first menu I'm going to choose Use White and click OK. And notice now on this new layer, after I press Deselect, this new layer actually blends in with the background because it is white, and that's fine. Okay? All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new file, File New, and this one I'm going to go ahead and give my period number underscore last name underscore Spirograph. Okay? And I'm going to make the size of this, I'm going to make it a perfect square. So I'm going to do 870 pixels by 870 pixels by 300 pixels per inch. And then I'm going to click OK. Now, the first thing that I want to do once I get this square open is I want to fill the background with black. That's the color that I want. I'm going to go back to my signature, and first thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and do a Command S to save it. so that it knows where to save. Remember that you need to save into your folder in schools. I don't have one, okay? So make sure that you're saving it to the right place. Let me find my my Photoshop file. There we go. All right, so that's my signature. And what I want to do is I am going to duplicate this layer into that new file. So if I hold down the Control key, I can choose Duplicate Layer, and then it's going to let me choose the document, which is going to be 1 Samuelson Spirograph. Click OK. I'm going to go ahead and close the signature because I don't need that open anymore. And here is my signature. Okay, I can use the Move tool. The Move tool is not cooperating, and it's only because it's such a thin signature. Okay, so I'm just going to move it down a little bit to make it easy to see. Okay, so kind of in the center there. All right, now we got a lot of things that we're going to do to this signature at this point in time. If your signature is really small, you may need to resize it. So I'm going to go ahead and do a Command T on mine. And remember to hold down the Shift key while you drag from the corner. That way it keeps it in proportion. You don't want to wind up with something that's stretched out of proportion like that. So go ahead then and double click to apply that transformation. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to get a panel that you guys have not used yet, and it's called the Actions panel. And remember that all of your panels are under the Window menu. And in Actions, you have a bunch of default actions, and we're not actually going to use these right now. Not that you might not at a different time. We're going to create our own action so that when you do this, you could actually duplicate this any number of times. So I'm going to start off by clicking on the little folder at the bottom of the Actions, because that is going to let me create a new set that I'm going to call Spirograph. And then in that new set, I'm going to create a new action, and I'm just going to call it Spiro 1 for Spirograph 1. Now, when I clicked OK or record, notice that this red button came on. This is a record button. And basically what it is doing is it is recording all the steps that you are taking from here on. Now, it doesn't record the time, so don't worry if you have to take some extra time between each step. That is perfectly acceptable. Okay, all it's doing is recording the steps, and you're going to see the steps pop up here when you do it. Okay, all right, so first off, make sure that you are on layer 1 at this point, and we are going to duplicate the layer. Now, I've showed you how you can drag it to the new layer icon, but there's another way that we can duplicate the layer, and that is with a Command J. So I'm going to Command J, and there is a layer right there. Now, I'm going to Command T, and notice that we have this little crosshair in the middle. This is actually an anchor point. And if I move the anchor point, it winds up being the place that we can pivot around. So if we rotate it, this becomes the pivot point. So I'm moving it a little bit to the left. I'm actually moving it kind of over the first letter of my name. I'm going to leave that up to you because you can move it to different places in your name. Okay? And then with the transformation bounding box still there, I'm going to go up here into my options, and you see this little angle thing here. This is rotation. So what we want to do, we know that there's 360 degrees all the way around. We want to divide this by a number that is going to divide into 360 equally. So I'm going to type in 20. Let's see if it lets me. There. Come on. %. And when I do, see how this duplicated copy is rotated a little bit. So now I can double click to apply that transformation. Now, what I want to do is I want to actually duplicate this until it goes all the way around and makes a complete circle. So the smaller the number the rotation was, the tighter the spirograph becomes. The larger the number, the looser it is. Okay? So you're going to have to actually hold down, to duplicate this, you're going to have to actually hold down 4 keys. So it's going to be Command, Option, Shift, and T. And you're going to hit that T. Each time you hit it, it creates and rotates a new layer. Don't be alarmed that it's off the center of your page. We're going to fix that when we finish. Okay? So this is what it looks like right now. It's already pretty cool. I'm going to adjust my layers a little bit, and you notice that it made several different copies. With the top one selected, we can now scroll down in our layers, and we can shift and click on layer 1. That is selecting all of the layers with our signature on it. And I want to group them in a group all on their own, so I'm going to Command G. And now there they are. Okay? Now, I'm going to Command A because that selects everything on the document that's in that group. And notice that when I do, I get some alignment controls up here in my options. So I want to align vertical center, and I want to align horizontal center. And now my signature spirograph is in the center of my page, and I can deselect. The only thing I have left to do now is to give this some color. So I am going to go down here to my layers, and I'm going to add a fill adjustment layer for gradient. Gradient fill pops up. First thing I want to do is choose the style. I want radial because it's in a radial, it's in a circle. I'm going to click on this color picker, and that's going to allow me to scroll through all of my gradients. Now, you probably don't have as many here. If you go to this little gear, you can see some more gradients that you can add. Okay? So I already have mine picked out. It's here at the bottom or close to the bottom. I like that one better. And I'm going to go ahead and click OK, and OK again. And then I'm going to change my blending mode to multiply and watch the magic happen. Ta-da! All right. At this point, you can hit stop on your actions, and it will forevermore, or at least until it's deleted, this spirograph action will be in here in your actions panel, and you can experiment with different signatures or the anchor point in different places. You can even try this with type tool instead of a signature. So at this point, you want to save it, and make sure you save it into your schools folder. And then you are also going to save it as a JPEG, File, Save As, change the format to JPEG so that you can put it on your Google site.